Hey everybody, it's Chainsaw Reacts. It's Scooby-Doo Tuesday, guys. You know what that means? Of course it means we're here continuing the journey of Scooby-Doo Mystery Incorporated. This is Season 2, Episode 7, The Gathering Gloom. Now that's a title. Last week's episode was really strange, dealing with some sort of artist that is just strange. I'm not even sure what the hell to think of him, but he was just a weird guy in Crystal Cove, and he was using everybody as a part of the Scooby Gang, except for Daphne, a part of his different, parts of his art or whatever, in his exhibit or whatever. It was just a strange episode. But the thing that stood out to me, besides the robot or whatever that kept appearing, that guitarist, I think he was a guitar player, who was another former artist, and he was transformed by the artist we've been dealing with in the episode, and he was using his guitar or whatever to control the robot trash monster, whatever. It was a weird fucking thing. But besides that, which was kind of strange, and I'm still questioning how he was able to control that with his, instrument anyways, is the fact that Cassidy, Angel Dynamite, of course, from the original Mystery Inc., was confronting Fred's parents, and they were looking at some maps in Fred's house, and well, Cassidy, no, get out of our way, we've been nice, but something's going on, and Cassie's think about Fred first, you're supposed to be here for him, blah, blah, blah. So she's, laying it all out there. And then the episode ends with her starting a new radio show or something and implying that she's going to reveal some shit, and Fred's parents were listening in. So I'm like, what does this mean? What does this mean exactly? So I need to know. So let's dive in, guys. Let's see what happens in this episode. Season 2, Episode 7, The Gathering Gloom. Let's go.
Dina, promise me.
About to say, is this another movie they're watching?
Go into the fog.
Oh, more people are actually watching. It's not just Scooby and Shaggy. Is that the pier or area they did those monsters in Season 1?
What's happening to me?
He's turning. I can't believe Scooby's girlfriend's there.
This horror movie night is a huge success.
Oh, Jesus. He's loud. Jesus. There's kids? Why do they bring kids to a horror movie? I don't know. I just thought it was cute that Scooby was with his girlfriend.
Shinkies, it's the graveyard ghoul.
Don't be silly, Velma.
It's so obvious. Ivalo is the graveyard ghoul.
No. We just started the episode. No.
That's villain profiling. We don't do that. We investigate every angle of every mystery.
Guys.
You see that? He's growling at me, actually growling.
Yes, come in.
What?
These are my 3 beautiful daughters that don't speak. We so seldom get any visitors.
I'm so confused right now.
We definitely need to investigate this house some more.
I know, right?
I can see that this is going nowhere.
Exactly.
Take off and do some
Is he gonna be right outside the door?
Coming?
No, all the men and dogs could eat just pounds and pounds of meatballs at every meal. Because we thought we could get rich by buying this cemetery. In such a good location, too. Right next to the gas company.
They're like all angels.
Why do they keep...
Silent,
I'm confused.
Perfect angels.
Chocolate!
They got everything.
Joy.
They'll never leave.
Here I am again, the only
I'm gonna laugh if Velma was actually right about...
You're the most determined of your little group. I need you back on my team.
Keep dreaming, Mr. E.
Keep
I
okay.
don't know why I ever trusted you before.
The sweet taste of rejection.
Oh, shit.
Professor Pericles.
The others. I tried to open my little heart to them. Wanted them to join forces again.
Excuse me while I get more from the basement.
Wow.
What's in the basement?
You Yorkland sure know how to make a guy feel welcome.
The graveyard ghoul. Jesus. They don't speak, but they can scream. Meatball attack.
Out of ammo.
Out of ammo. Just throw the plate. There you go.
Oh, sorry that took so long. I hope I did not miss anything exciting.
Looks like Count Ivalo applied for a work permit but was denied because his aptitude test showed he was pure evil. I gotta tell the gang.
Commemorate your deeds.
What are they getting now?
Chocolate statues
Oh.
in your honor.
They're crying because she won't take the chocolate. Oh! Did he just... he slammed into that tree. Oh, he's taking care of him. That's nice. Well, he's sad because he left. He's gonna come back there, right? Yep.
Yorkland and the graveyard ghoul are pretty much the same height.
That's reason enough to stay and eat more meatballs.
Daphne loves chocolate.
Someone needs to save
Hey,
her.
Velma. Now, help us investigate this lovely woman and her 3 perfect daughters.
Jinkies, you two are hopeless.
Jinkies.
Daphne? Go away! Mine! Oh.
Of course, here comes Storm and all that to make it creepier. Shadow. Is it Scooby maybe? Is it Scooby? Clumsy? It's Scooby, yeah.
Oh, Scooby. No one cared about solving this mystery.
Holy fuck, that was good. That was good. Close your mouth, you're dripping saliva. Ugh, that had to hurt. Ugh. Jesus Christ. He could have threw it any time, but he waited.
If the gang won't believe us, I think I know someone who will.
Do you know how many wrongful arrest lawsuits I have pending?
Oh shit. They're bringing that in.
You have a terrible sheriff.
Sounds like the talking dog's been talking to my lawyer.
Come on, Sheriff Stone. Go with your... The ghouls' movements all center around that mausoleum.
Convenient.
No gas under the graveyard. All the gas is under the Crystal Cove Gas Company next door.
It's trapping time.
Oh, they're gonna make a trap. Not him, because he's too big. Oh my god. Oh my god.
Hi, Daph.
A barbecue?
Sure, no self-respecting ghoul can resist good American-style barbecue.
That's a big fucking... Okay. Oh, uh-oh. Oh my god. Are they gonna actually... Somehow... What? Yep, it's gonna get him. Yep. Ooh. Shit. Oh my god.
What do you know? He really was
She was
the most
right.
obvious. Count Evolo.
So now he has a voice.
A perfectly evil plan. Unfortunately, their flame-broiling grill was incredibly dangerous, so close
Yeah.
to my gas lines.
Y'all saw that, right? I caught the right guy, and on
I
purpose.
got the right guy.
The gas company was, accidentally stealing from the Bjorklund family by siphoning gas. We were just here for the money.
Just
Now
the
we have to
money.
go back to the old
And
country
they're
live like
gone.
queens. Thank you.
Haha! The von Meanskrieg family is the most evil family in all of Europe!
I am so never arresting anyone ever again.
And their chocolate. Let them take all their chocolate. Wait,
Wait, I need the chocolate.
I'm glad you came. I wasn't sure you would.
Of course, Ricky. To the treasure. For with it, we shall rule the world.
Something bad is going down in Crystal Cove. And by down, I mean underneath. Watch out for any foul play.
She will need to be silenced forever.
Agreed. Forever.
Okay, this was a bizarre episode, but at the same time, we also got some big moments in terms of the overarching narrative of the show in terms of Professor Pericles, mystery, all that. And we'll get to that first, then we'll talk about the rest of the episode, because I feel like this stuff over here with the overarching stuff in terms of the mystery, what's going on, and Cassie and everything, and I feel like that's the most important stuff. So, Velma got confronted by Mr. E. That's where it kind of started, because Velma decided, okay, well, I'm like, what they're investigating, well, what Fred and Shaggy and Scooby is investigating, and Daphne stayed behind to watch them to make sure they're not going to get too crazy and everything, and all that happens over here on this, the part of the storyline. Velma gets confronted by Mr. E, and he wants her to work with him again. She says, nope, I shouldn't have trusted you, blah, blah, blah. She walks away. And then there's Professor Pericles right behind him on a tree going, well, rejection. And then saying how everybody else has rejected his offer, which we never saw that scene continue, where he talked to all of them when they got all of them together, the original Mystery Incorporated, and had a proposal. It seems that he told them the proposal. I'm just guessing based off of the fact we haven't seen the scene, and that they were told to think about it and he'll reach out later. I don't know. But everyone else is declined except for Mr. E. But he called him Ricky, right? That was his name. But now he's Mr. E. But he asking him, and he's like, you know, you don't get to call me that name anymore, not after how you betrayed us and all that stuff that night. And of course, they're talking about when they actually get to the point of the treasure in the flashbacks from season 1, and how he betrayed all them as working with Fred's dad, the mayor. He wasn't the mayor at the time, no, but as the freak. But so there's a whole lot of storytelling going on there. But then we got a flashback because Mr. E's looking at a picture of him and Professor Pericles when he was younger, and Professor Pericles, of course, looked just normal. He wasn't a evil looking bird with the scar and everything, and that's crazy how that all came about because he looks completely different now than he did. But there's a flashback to when they first met. Professor Pericles slams into a tree. He just slams into a tree, and then he saves him, feeds him, brings him back to I guess full recovery from his crash into a tree, and Mr. E lets him go, but then he comes back. And then that kind of shows their bond that they pretty much had at that point. And then, at the end of the episode, after everything has occurred, then there is Professor Pericles and Mr. E drinking grape juice. Not wine. They had to make a point to show grape juice. I guess they can't show them drinking wine. It's a kid's show. I guess that's probably why they couldn't do it. So they had to show it's purple, and then there's the reflection of Professor Pericles in the glass. That was a cool little reveal when he's pouring it in, but grape juice. So they're talking, and they're going to start working together, but then the plot even thickens even more because now they turn on the radio, and there is Angel Dynamite, Cassidy, doing her new radio show, and saying, watch out for foul play or something, like referring to him, Professor Pericles. And then he says, oh, Cassidy, I think before we continue and move forward with this joint venture, like, them teaming up now, Cassidy has to be silenced forever. And Mr. E agrees with that. We know what that means. Gotta take her out. Gotta kill her without saying it. So that was some pretty interesting development there for sure. It seems like no one else. I think the reason why Cassidy didn't accept Professor Pericles' offer, obviously she doesn't want to be a part of this anymore, because we saw how she confronted Fred's parents, and the fact is, he said that Fred's parents are enigmas, and it seems like they're doing the same thing that they're teaming up now to do, but Fred's parents, I feel like they're not being genuine with Fred. It seems like they are trying to find the treasure themselves as well, and they don't want to work with, anybody else. They definitely don't want to work with the original Mr. Inc. again, at least part of it without Cassie, because Cassie wants no part of this shit. So, yeah, not good. Things have definitely turned on that. So let's get to the other part of the storyline, which was quite interesting. So they're watching a movie, and usually when they're watching a film, I actually have the voice cast pulled up here, but it's Vincent Van Gogh. Maurice LaMarche voice is at least if you know voice actors, he's a famous voice actor. But Vincent Van Gogh film played in a cemetery, and then here comes the ghoul, or as they're calling it, the graveyard ghoul. And Velma immediately figures out it's this gravekeeper. It's this guy. He's Ivalo von Meanskrieg or something. Chris Hardwick, I had no idea was the voice of it, but that was the right choice. Velma immediately figured out it was him, just based off the facial features, almost very similar to the face of the graveyard ghoul. Velma figured out immediately, but then Fred's like, "No, Velma, hold on. It's not always the most obvious," and I think it goes to show that sometimes it is the most obvious choice sometimes in this show. I think that's kind of like the joke they were trying to make, is that Velma immediately figured it out, and the rest of them were like, come on, Velma, I don't see it, I don't know, but then she's right. But it's not all the time. Not all the time in this show is the most obvious. I mean, we literally had that whole thing to where we had the Hodag horror or something, that creature, and it turns out to be a guy who was working at a cheese place, but it's actually not a guy, he's actually a monkey. Like, there were some layers to that, because even if you guessed it was the guy, and there was kind of hints in terms of him using his feet or whatever to cut cheese and stuff, I just didn't expect the monkey angle. And there's been times they've went back and forth in terms of who is suspected of the actual creature, the monster. And so in this, they're kind of making fun of the times where it's pretty damn obvious who the monster is, because Velma figures out immediately. But then Fred goes off and finds this random, beautiful-looking house that's in the cemetery. He's like, I've never seen that before. And they go, and that's why I had to look up the voice cast, because I didn't remember the name at all, but her name is Modier Bjorklund? I think that's how you pronounce that. But it's this woman with her 3 daughters who don't speak. They screamed when the graveyard ghoul showed up, but they never talk. And here's Fred, Scooby, Shaggy, and Daphne's just there, until we get a little later into the chocolate thing. She's there to keep an eye on them because Velma leaves like, oh, there's nothing here. They just want to investigate because it's pretty girls. And I think Shaggy said hot girls. So like they were very obvious what they were doing. And they get fed tons of meatballs. And as soon as Mo Deer, the mom who basically owns the house and it bought the graveyard, bought the cemetery and everything, goes downstairs, immediately the graveyard girl shows up. And as soon as he leaves and she comes back in, I'm like, could she be? It's possible, but no, it's actually, Velma was right on who it was. But then he has diplomatic immunity, so he gets let go. And then Sheriff is like, I'm never going to arrest anybody again, because he made, because there was a point they made in this that I was never suspecting this show to do. It's one of those things where I bet no one really thinks about it. If you're a young kid watching the show for the first time, you never think about it. But the sheriff makes a point. He says, you know how many false arrests I have pending against me in terms of like cases, because of all the times he's arrested people that are not actually the people. So there's been a lot of like police reports and filings against him for false arresting, because in Crystal Cove, anybody potentially could be a villain. So who knows? There's been so many times that's occurred where they arrest the wrong individual. So yeah, there's a lot of times. I'm pretty sure, I don't know how he's still in operation. I don't know how he's still the sheriff in Crystal Cove. Who the fuck knows? But they get enamored with this family, of course, because Fred and Shaggy are head over heels for the daughters or whatever, and they're getting fed all the damn time. And then here comes Chocolate, Daphne. See, this is something I don't know if this is something that they're pulling from in a previous iteration of Daphne in terms of like a previous show where she was obsessed with chocolate or she loved chocolate. It was something very specific, but it was so funny because she went crazy. And then at one point she has like red bumps on her face, and then she's like running after them when they leave because they get this gigantic check because the family, turns out that the gas company or whatever next door was actually siphoning gas or whatever illegally under their property of the cemetery. So they got like a $14 million or $14 billion check. I have no idea. So a lot of fucking numbers on that check. But then she runs after trying to get the chocolate. Reminds me of the chocolate episode, the guy obsessed with chocolate in the SpongeBob episode. It's like that classic SpongeBob episode where they're going around selling chocolates, and the guy's like, chocolates! That's what it reminded me of, because she was losing her mind over chocolates. Anything else that I'm missing? Oh, Scooby, his girlfriend. Well, I say girlfriend. I guess they're dating. I don't know how they can communicate because she can't speak English. He does. Does he understand when she barks? I don't know. Maybe he does. I'm guessing he does. I don't know, because since he's a dog, I would assume he understands her barking. But they were there together watching the movie, and then she licks his face, and all he's like, oh, like he really cares for this dog. Now, it's going to suck if this dog's actually, because this is Fred's parents' dog. It's going to really suck if, like, that dog's actually evil somehow, like where like the loyalties with the actual Fred's parents, and then she doesn't really care about Scooby. It's all a ploy. I know that's a weird thing to say, but I don't fucking know. This show is weird, okay? This show has done some really weird shit and has done some stuff that makes you go, is this Scooby-Doo? But people have pointed this out in the comments of my reactions at times, where I say sometimes where the show is breaking, or there's a breaking point in the show at times. People say, like, look, Scooby-Doo has always been a mystery, supernatural kind of show, but there's been obvious times where there's not been supernatural stuff going on. But it's like the show is, like, out there. So, you know, anything can happen, basically, is kind of what they're saying, you know, just be prepared. So that's why I throw that out as a potential thing. It could happen. Who knows? So, yeah, great episode overall. Kind of weird, but at the same time, I think the overarching narrative of Professor Pericles, that's what it is. And mystery, I think that's really interesting. So I'm curious to see where we go from here with all of that. So what you guys think of the episode? I'm curious to know your thoughts. Whatever thoughts you have, let me know in the comments below, guys. Hope you enjoyed my reaction. I'll talk to you guys soon. Peace out.